Horton Hears a Who by Dr. Seuss. On the 15th of May in the jungle new, in the heat of the day in the cool of the pool, he was splashing, enjoying the jungle's great joys, when Horton the elephant heard a small noise. So Horton stopped splashing, he looked towards the sound. That's funny, thought Horton, there's no one around. Then he heard it again, just a very faint yap, as if some tiny person were calling for help. I'll help you, said Horton, but who are you? Where? He looked and he looked, he could see nothing there but a small speck of dust blowing past through the air. I say, murmured Horton, I never heard tell of a small speck of dust that is able to yell. So you know what I think? Why, I think that there must be someone on that small speck of dust, some sort of a creature of very small size, too small to be seen by an elephant's eyes. Some poor little person who's shaking with fear that he'll blow in a pool he has nowhere to steer. I'll just have to save him, because after all, a person is a person no matter how small. So gently and using the greatest of care, the elephant stretched his great trunk through the air. And he lifted the dust speck and carried it over and placed it down safe on a very soft clover. Hurf, hurf a voice, tells the sour kangaroo. And the young kangaroo in the push said, hurf, too. Why, that speck is as small as the head of a pin. A person on that, why, there's never has been. Believe me, said Horton, I'll tell you sincerely. My ears are quite keen, and I heard him quite clearly. I know there's a person down there, and what's more, quite likely there's two, even three, even four. Quite likely a family for all that we know. A family with children just starting to grow. So please, Horton said, as a favor to me, try not to disturb them. Just please let them be. I think you're a fool, laughed the sour kangaroo. And the young kangaroo in the bush said, me too. You're the biggest blamed fool in the jungle new. And the kangaroo says, plunked it in the cool of the pool. What terrible splashing, the elephant frowned. I can't let my very small persons get drowned. I got to protect them. I'm bigger than they. So he plucked up the clover and hustled away. Through the high jungle treetops, the news quickly spread. He talks to a dustback. He's out of his head. Just look at him walk with that speck on that clover. Oh, just look at him walk with that speck on that flower. And Horton walked worrying almost an hour. Should I put this speck down? Horton thought with alarm. If I do, these small persons may come to great harm. I can't put it down and I won't. After all, a person is a person no matter how small. Then Horton stopped walking. The speck voice was talking. The voice was so faint he could just barely hear it. Speak up, please, said Horton. Speak up, please, said Horton. He put his ears near it. My friends, came the voice. You're a very fine friend. You helped all us folks on this dust speck no end. You saved all our houses, our ceilings and floors. You saved all our churches and grocery stores. You mean, Horton gasped, you have buildings there too? Oh yes, piped the voice, we will certainly do. I know, called the voice, I'm too small to be seen, but I'm mayor of a town that is friendly and clean. Our buildings to you who seem terribly small, but to us who aren't big, they are wonderfully tall. My town is called Whoville, for I am a Who, and we Whos are all thankful and grateful to you. And Horton called back to the mayor of the town. You're safe now. Don't worry, I won't let you down. But just as he spoke to the mayor of the speck, 3 big jungle monkeys climbed up Horton's neck. The Whiskerer brothers came shouting, what rot! This elephant is talking to whos who are not. There aren't any whos and they don't have a mayor. And we're going to stop all this nonsense. So there. They snatched at Horton's clover. They carried it off to the black-bottomed eagle named Vladdy Croft. A mighty strong eagle, a very swift wing. And they said, would you kindly get rid of this thing? And before the poor elephant even could speak, that eagle flew out with the flower in his beak. All that late afternoon and far into that night, that black-bottomed bird flapped his wings in fast flight, while Horton chased after with groans over stones that tatters his toenails and batters his bones, and begged, please don't harm all my little folkses, who have as much right to live as us bigger folkses do. But far, far beyond him, that eagle kept flapping, and over his shoulder called back, quit your yapping, I'll fly the night through, I'm a bird, I don't mind it. And I'll hide this tomorrow where you never find it. And at 6:56 the next morning, he did it. Oh, wait. And at 6:56 the next morning, he did it. It sure was a terrible place that he hid it. He let that small clover drop somewhere inside of a great patch of clovers, 100 miles wide. Find that, stirred the bird, but I think you will fail. And he left with the flip of his black-bottomed tail. I'll find it, cried Horton. I'll find it or bust. I shall find my friends on my small speck of dust. And clover by clover by clover with care, he picked up and searched them and called, are you there? But clover by clover by clover, he found that the one that he saw was not just around. And by noon, poor old Horton, more dead than alive, had picked, searched, and piled up 9,005. Then on through the afternoon, hour after hour, till we find him at last. On the 3 million flower. My friends, cried the elephant, tell me, do tell. Are you safe? Are you sound? Are you whole? Are you well? From down on the speck came the voice of the mayor. We really had trouble, much more than our share. When that black-bottomed birdie let go and redrop, we landed so hard that our clocks have all stopped. Our teapots are broken, our rocking chairs smashed. And our bicycle tires all blew up when we crashed. So Horton, please, piped the voice of the mayor says, will you stick by us hooses while we're making repairs? Of course, Horton answered. Of course I will stick. I'll stick by you small folkses through thin and through thick. Her voice. For almost 2 days, you run wild and insistent on chatting with persons who never exist. Such carryings on in our peaceable jungle. We had quite enough for your belonging bungle. And I'm here to state, snapped the big kangaroo, that your silly nautical game is all through. And the young kangaroo in a push said, me too. With the help of the Whiskerim brothers and dozens of Whiskerim uncles and Whiskerim cousins and Whiskerim in-laws, who helped I engaged? You're going to be roped and you're going to be caged. And as for your dust bag, then we should boil in the hot steamy keezels of bezelnut oil. Boiled it, gasped Horton. Oh, that you can't do. It's all full of persons. They'll prove it to you. Mr. Bear, Horton called. Mr. Bear, you got to prove now that you really are there. So call a big meeting, get everyone howl. Make every who howl, make every who shout, make every who scream. If you don't, every who is going to end up in a bezelnut stew. And down on the dust speck, the scared little mayor quick called a big meeting in Whoville Town Square. And as people cried loudly, they cried out in fear, we are here, we are here, we are here, we are here. The elephant smiled. That was clear as a bell. You kangaroos will surely hear it very well. All I heard, snapped the big kangaroo, was the breeze. And the faint sound of wind through the far distant trees. And I hear no small voices, and you didn't either. And the young kangaroo in the push said, me neither. Grab him, they shouted, and caged the big dope. Lasso was stomach with 10 miles of rope. Tied an ox tight so he'll never shake loose. Then dunk that dumb speck in the bezelnut juice. Horton thought back with great vigor and vim, but the Whiskerim games were too many for him. They beat him, they mauled him, they started to haul him into his cage. But he managed to call to the mayor. Don't give up, I believe in you all! A person is a person no matter how small, and you very small persons will not have to die. If you make yourself heard, so come on now and try. The mayor grabbed a tom-tom, he started to smack it, and all over Whoville they whooped up a racket. They rattled tin kindles, they beat on brass pans, on garbage pail tops and old cranberry cans. They blew on bazookas and blasted great toots, on clarinets, oompas, and boompas, and flutes. Great gusts of the loud racket rang high through the air. They rattled and shook the whole sky, and the mayor called up Frola Hollaman Hollalombo. Hey Horton, how's this? Is there sound coming through? And Horton called back, I can hear you just fine, but the kangaroo's ears aren't as strong quite as mine. They don't hear a thing. Are you sure all you boys are all doing their best? Are they all making noise? Are you sure every who down in Whoville is working? Quick look for your town. Is there anyone shrinking? Through the town rushed the mayor from the east to the west, but everyone seemed to be doing its best. Everyone seemed to be yapping or yipping. Everyone seemed to be beeping or bleeping, but it wasn't enough. All this ruckus and roar. He had to find someone to help him make more. He raced through each building. He searched floor to floor. And just as he felt he was getting nowhere and almost about to give up in despair, he suddenly burst through a door, and that mayor discovered one shrinker quite hidden away. In the Fairfax Apartments, apartment 12J. A very small shrinker named Jojo was just standing and bouncing a yo-yo. not making a sound, not a yip, not a chirp. And the mare rushed inside, and he grabbed the young twerp. And he climbed with the lad up the Eiffelberg Tower. This, cried the mayor, is your town's darkest hour. The time for all who have blood that is red, to come to the aid of their country, he said. We got to make noises in greater amounts. So open your mouth, lad, for every voice counts. Tersely spoke as he climbed. When he got to the top, the lad cleared his throat and he shot out, Yop! And that yop, that one small extra yop, put it over. Finally, at last, from that speck on that clover, their voices was here. They rang out clear and clean. And the elephant smiled. Do you see what I mean? They prove they are persons, no matter how small, and the whole world was saved by the smallest of all. How true. Yes, how true, said the big kangaroo. And from now on, you know what I'm planning to do? From now on, I'm going to protect them with you. And the young kangaroo in the bush said, Me too, from sun to summer, from rain when it's fallish. I'm going to protect them no matter how smallish. The end.